When a billionaire CEO discovers he is allergic to every woman on earth except one poor girl who accidentally crashes into his life, he realizes she is not just his cure, she is his fate. But when she ends up pregnant with his quadruplets, a storm of secrets, conspiracies, betrayals, and miracles erupts. Will love survive the truth? Keep watching till the end, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more spine-chilling emotional stories. Elion Thorne, the cold-hearted billionaire CEO of Thorne Enterprises, had spent his entire life trapped behind invisible walls, walls made not of stone, but of his rare and deadly condition, an extreme and incurable allergy to all women. A mere touch, a breath too close, even a shared room could send him into violent anaphylactic shock, and the world whispered that this strange curse was the reason for his icy personality, his ruthless business strategies, and his refusal to let anyone, especially women, enter the fortress of his heart. His board feared him, competitors envied him, tabloids painted him as a monster, and yet no one knew that behind the iron armor of power lived a man desperately wishing to be normal, to feel warmth, to feel love, if only love didn't threaten to kill him. That was until the night fate shoved him onto a path no logic could explain, starting with a storm, a broken streetlight, and a poor girl named Liana Hart, running barefoot through the rain because the landlord had thrown her out for not paying rent. Shivering, exhausted, carrying nothing but a backpack of broken dreams, she darted across the road just as Elion's limousine turned the corner, forcing the driver to brake so hard that Elion slammed forward, hit his shoulder, and for the first time in years stepped out of the car himself. Something he never did, only to find a drenched girl crying as if the sky itself had shattered over her life. The moment he touched her shoulder to ask if she was hurt, his body should have collapsed into allergic shock, but nothing happened. No swelling, no rashes, no wheezing, just warmth, steady and surreal. His guards panicked, shouting for medical protocols, but Elion lifted his hand, stunned, staring at her as if she was a ghost who had rewritten his destiny. And Liana, unaware of the miracle she embodied, stared back with wide trembling eyes, whispering, "Please, I didn't mean to be in the way," and for the first time, Elion heard a woman's voice that did not trigger pain but stirred something terrifyingly soft inside him. From that moment, his obsession began, not the possessive kind born from power, but the desperate, instinctive kind of a drowning man finding the only piece of wood that could keep him afloat. He offered her shelter for the night in the guest wing of his mansion, but soon discovered she had no family left, no home, no money, and no one in the world who would miss her if she disappeared. She tried to leave at dawn, not wanting to burden the man who saved her, but Elion, who had spent the entire night unable to sleep due to the shock of touching her without dying, stopped her with a plea that didn't sound like the CEO the world feared. "Please don't go. You're the only woman I can be near." Liana froze, confused and frightened, thinking she had wandered into the life of a madman, but everything changed when his medical team confirmed it. Her touch was the cure no scientist, no billionaire's wealth, no global expert could ever find. She was the impossible answer to his impossible curse. At first she stayed because he begged her to, promising her safety, food, shelter, and a chance to rebuild her life. But soon, the household staff began noticing the strange bond forming, a bond Elion tried to hide behind professional excuses, and Liana tried to deny because she feared heartbreak from a man whose world was galaxies above hers. Yet destiny worked quietly in the moments they shared. When he taught her how to read financial charts because she confessed she had once dreamed of studying business, when she bandaged his hand after he accidentally broke a glass during a panic attack, when he protected her from cruel board members who mocked her poor background, when she comforted him during a violent allergic episode triggered by another woman entering the elevator unexpectedly, when he whispered, with trembling vulnerability, "I don't want to be afraid of the world anymore, not if you're in it." And then came the night everything changed, when a rival company attempted to assassinate Elion during a charity gala by forcing a crowd of women toward him, knowing his allergy would do the job. Liana threw herself onto him, shielding him with her own body, pressing his face into her neck so he could breathe safely, her embrace the only thing keeping him alive. That night, shaken and overwhelmed, Elion realized he couldn't lose her, not after fate had literally crafted her to be his lifeline. And Liana realized she had fallen in love with the man who had given her a home, dignity, hope, and a place in the world she never thought she deserved. Their love wasn't planned, it was inevitable, like gravity pulling two stars into collision. But fate wasn't done with them. Weeks later, Liana fainted unexpectedly. The medical team rushed in. Elion paced outside the room, his chest shredding with fear until the doctor emerged, stunned, whispering, "Mr. Thorne, she is pregnant." His world spun. Pregnant. His cure, his miracle, the only woman he could touch, was carrying his child. But the shock didn't end there. With 4 heartbeats, the doctor added, "She's carrying quadruplets." Elion collapsed into the chair behind him, his breath shattered, his eyes burning, because he knew what the world would do to her. Paparazzi, enemies, his greedy relatives, his shareholders, they would devour her alive for giving him heirs, 4 heirs. He stormed into the room, grabbed her trembling hands and swore, "I will protect you. I will protect all of you. You are mine, my family, my miracle." But the world struck faster than he prepared for. Stories leaked, cameras swarmed, headlines screamed. Poor girl traps CEO with pregnancy, mystery woman breaks billionaire's curse, quadruplets heir scandal. Liana was hunted, shamed, insulted, dragged as a gold digger. Elion responded by firing entire legal teams, threatening news channels, buying media outlets overnight, and even cutting ties with board members, declaring he would burn his entire empire to protect the woman carrying his children. But the darkest threat came from within, his stepbrother Adrian, who long coveted Elion's empire and now saw Liana's pregnancy as the end of his ambitions. Adrian hired mercenaries, staged accidents, manipulated stock prices, and finally orchestrated the most brutal attack, kidnapping Liana in her 7th month, intending to force her into premature labor so the babies wouldn't survive, and without heirs, Adrian could seize control. Elion went feral, not angry, feral. With a storm roaring behind him, he hunted Adrian through abandoned factories, nearly dying from exposure to women planted along the path, suffering seizures, allergic episodes, struggling to breathe, but still pushing forward, crawling if he had to, because Liana's life mattered more than air. When he found her tied to a chair, weak, terrified, surrounded by armed men, something ancient and unstoppable awoke inside him. He fought with nothing but raw desperation, using metal pipes, broken glass, anything he could grab, taking bullets in his arm and shoulder but refusing to fall. Screaming her name like the world depended on it. And when he reached her, moments before she collapsed in pain, he cut her free and held her as she cried into his chest. "Don't leave me," she whispered. "Never," he vowed. He carried her out, bleeding, barely conscious, running through the rain with her in his arms as if the universe itself were chasing them. She was rushed into emergency delivery. Hours of agony followed. He wasn't allowed inside because too many female nurses were present. He almost died waiting, collapsing twice from his allergy triggered by the presence of medical staff, but refusing to leave the hallway. Finally, the doctor emerged with 4 tiny cries echoing behind him. "They're alive," he said. "All 4. Miracles." Elion broke down, not with fear this time, but with gratitude so powerful it cracked open every wall he had ever built. He entered the sanitized room, protected by barriers and protocols, until Liana held out her hand, her touch still the cure. "Meet your children," she whispered. He approached 4 incubators holding tiny, fragile lives that looked at him with his eyes in her innocence. In that moment he realized, fate had not cursed him, fate had rewritten him. And as he gathered his family into his arms, his voice shaking, he whispered, "You saved me. All of you, and I will spend my life saving you back." From that day on, the world no longer knew him as the cold-hearted CEO allergic to women, but as the father who defied death, power, and destiny for the woman fate chose for him, and the quadruplets who turned his curse into a miracle. And Elion, once feared for his ice, became a legend for his love, because miracles don't happen to perfect people, they happen to broken people who dare to hold on.